The planet Zytheria stretched under two suns, its silver towers shining brightly against the pale green sky. Every corner of the city hummed with energy. Hovercrafts zipped past, and the streets were alive with aliens of every shape and size. Among them walked Lyra, a young Zytherian warrior in training. Her long copper-colored hair glimmered in the sunlight, and her amber eyes sparkled with pride. Lyra was not just any trainee. She was considered one of the strongest of her age. Her movements were fluid, her strikes precise, and her mind sharp. Today, she was at the Academy of Champions, the greatest training center in the galaxy, and she was eager to show her peers just how skilled she had become. Her classmates had gathered in the central courtyard, forming a loose circle. Lyra stepped into the center, her boots making soft clicks on the smooth metal floor. "I will show you all the proper way to wield a plasma spear," she announced. Her voice carried confidence, and a few students whispered among themselves. Lyra held the long, glowing spear with ease. She spun it, thrust it, and struck imaginary enemies in a series of practiced movements. Each strike was precise, each spin controlled. Her audience clapped politely, but she could sense their admiration hiding behind subtle jealousy. Then, the talk in the courtyard shifted. A delegation from another planet was arriving. Among them was a human warrior. Lyra had heard stories about humans, fragile creatures with short lifespans, slower reflexes, and no natural combat abilities. Most Zytherians considered them amusing at best. As the delegation approached, Lyra's friends nudged her. "Look," one whispered. "The human is here." Lyra's lips curled into a smirk. "A human? I can defeat him in a blink," she said quietly, though loud enough for a few to hear. The human stepped forward. His posture was upright, but his frame was smaller and less imposing than the average Zytherian. He wore a dark uniform with a few insignia that marked his rank, but otherwise, he looked ordinary. His hair was dark, his skin pale compared to the Zytherians, and his eyes, a clear blue, held a calm focus. Lyra walked toward him, the crowd giving her room. She tilted her head slightly, examining the human with quiet amusement. "You must be the human warrior everyone talks about," she said. Her voice carried the kind of confidence only a skilled warrior could have. "I hope you have some skill, or this will be embarrassing for you." The human's lips curved in a small smile. "I'm Captain Elias. I've trained my whole life. I will do my best." His voice was calm, polite, but firm. The other trainees laughed quietly at him. Lyra, however, wanted to make the humiliation complete. "Your best?" she said, stepping closer. "Let me see it. Show me a simple sparring move. Surely a human can handle that much." Elias nodded politely and readied himself in a basic stance. His movements were slower than Lyra's, and she could see immediately that he was less skilled in traditional Zytherian techniques. She attacked with a swift spin of her spear, forcing him back with light taps that were meant more to test than to harm. The crowd laughed. Lyra's smirk widened. "Is that all? I expected more from someone with tales of human bravery." Elias did not seem upset. He remained calm and focused, stepping aside and adjusting his footing. Every move was deliberate, calculated, and careful. While Lyra had relied on speed and strength, he used observation and timing. Lyra swung again, faster this time, aiming to touch him with her glowing spear. Elias sidestepped, barely moving his feet, and held his ground without panic. For a brief moment, Lyra paused. It annoyed her that she could not immediately overwhelm him. "You humans really are fragile," she said, more to herself than to him. But the words left her mouth, and the trainees around her laughed louder. "How long do you think you'll last in real combat?" Elias smiled faintly. "I don't measure strength by size alone," he said calmly. Lyra frowned. His answer, though simple, carried a confidence she had not expected. Most humans, she thought, would panic under pressure. but this one remained composed. The training session ended, and the Zetherians dispersed, still whispering about the strange human who had not been defeated. Lyra stormed to the Academy's rooftop, needing air. The two suns bathed the city in warm light, and she felt a surge of frustration. How could a human be so calm, she wondered. Her friend Jalen joined her, leaning against the railing. "You didn't expect him to be decent, did you?" he asked, smirking. Lyra's amber eyes narrowed. Decent? No. But he wasn't pathetic either. I will see more of him tomorrow, and I will show him why Zetherians are the best warriors in the galaxy. Meanwhile, Elias walked through the Academy's corridors, unnoticed by most of the students. He observed the training sessions of other Zetherians, noting their techniques, strengths, and weaknesses. He moved with purpose, not arrogance, and every step he took was measured. Unlike many of the others, he was not trying to impress anyone. In the evenings, the Academy allowed visitors to explore its virtual combat simulations. Lyra returned to practice alone, spinning her spear with relentless precision. But her thoughts were distracted by the calmness and poise of the human warrior. She had never experienced doubt in her abilities until now. That night, as the two suns set and the city lights flickered on, Lyra's mother, a counselor of great respect, entered the training chambers. She had watched her daughter for years, guiding her with wisdom and care. "You seem troubled, Lyra," her mother said softly. "I am not troubled," Lyra replied, though her voice lacked conviction. "It's just that human. He is different from what I expected." Her mother's eyes softened. "Humans are often underestimated," she said. "They have courage, cleverness, and determination that surpass many who are stronger or faster. You should watch carefully, not just to mock him." Lyra shook her head. "I will not accept that a human could surpass me. I am trained in the best techniques in Zetheria." Her mother smiled faintly. "Perhaps. But sometimes strength alone is not enough. Watch him closely. Learn from what you see. You may be surprised." Lyra did not respond. She wanted to believe she was superior, but a small part of her mind whispered a warning she could not ignore. She would need to face Elias again, and next time, she would not hold back. The next day dawned with a pale green sky and cool winds from the mountains surrounding the city. The Academy's central courtyard was alive once more, filled with trainees practicing, shouting, and testing each other's skills. Lyra stepped into the center, her spear glowing under the twin suns. Elias entered behind her, calm and focused. He did not glance around at the laughing students. He simply moved forward with purpose. Lyra's lips curled into a determined smile. "Today, human, I will show you what a Zytherian warrior can do." Elias gave a small nod. "I will do my best," he replied, his voice steady. The crowd formed a circle. The challenge would be more than a simple test now. It was a clash of belief, pride, and courage. Lyra had mocked him yesterday, but today she would see whether her assumptions about humans were truly correct. As she prepared her stance, her heart raced, not with fear, but with anticipation. She had never met a warrior like him before. Somewhere deep inside, a quiet voice whispered that this human might change everything she thought she knew about strength, courage, and honor. And somewhere in the shadows, the seeds of respect, and perhaps something more, began to grow. The next morning, the Academy of Champions was buzzing with excitement. Today was the beginning of the Grand Tournament, a competition held once every 10 years to test the skill, intelligence, and courage of every trainee. The courtyard had been transformed. Holographic targets floated in the air, platforms rose and fell, and energy barriers lit up with every movement. Lyra walked through the crowd with her head held high. Her copper hair shimmered under the twin suns. Every trainee and visitor watched her. She had already made a name for herself with her speed and strength, and now she was ready to prove that she was unmatched. Her eyes, however, kept drifting toward one figure, Captain Elias, the human warrior. He stood near the edge of the courtyard, calm and focused. His uniform was neat, his stance disciplined, and his eyes bright with concentration. Lyra felt a mix of curiosity and irritation. How could a human, whom she had mocked, be so calm and unshaken? "Today will be interesting," Jalen, her friend, whispered, nudging her shoulder. "Do you really think you can defeat him so easily?" Lyra smirked. "I don't just think, I know. Humans are clever, but strength and training matter more." "I have both," the announcer's voice echoed through the courtyard. "Welcome to the grand tournament. Competitors will face a series of trials designed to test their skill, intelligence, and courage. May the best warriors win." Lyra's heart pounded with excitement. This was her chance to show Elias, and everyone, that she was unmatched. She stepped onto the first platform, her plasma spear glowing brighter as she lifted it. The first challenge was a combat simulation against holographic opponents. Lyra dashed forward, spinning her spear in perfect arcs. The targets appeared faster than she expected, but her reflexes were sharper. Each strike hit its mark with precision, and the holograms dissolved in bursts of light. She moved like water, smooth and unstoppable. From the sidelines, Elias observed quietly. When it was his turn, he stepped onto the platform. The crowd laughed softly, thinking it would be easy for him. He waited for a moment, analyzing the hologram's patterns. Then he moved, not with speed alone, but with careful timing. He dodged, countered, and struck with precision. His movements were unusual, but effective. Each strike eliminated a target efficiently, and he used the arena's environment cleverly, bouncing off walls and leaping over barriers to conserve energy. Lyra frowned as she watched. He wasn't as fast as she was, but he was clever. Every step, every decision seemed deliberate and perfectly timed. The crowd murmured in surprise. He's doing it differently," Lyra muttered under her breath. "But still, he's not fast enough." Yet, when the final target disappeared, Elias had completed the challenge just moments after Lyra. His time was not better than hers, but it was close enough to shock the audience. Many students whispered about his ingenuity. Lyra clenched her spear tightly. She could not let him overshadow her. The next round was combat against another trainee, a duel. She scanned the arena and saw Elias being paired with another Zitherian, a strong trainee named Kalen. The duel began. Lyra's eyes followed Elias as he faced Kalen. Instead of charging, Elias analyzed Kalen's stance, predicting his moves. When Kalen lunged, Elias sidestepped and used Kalen's momentum against him. The Zitherian stumbled, surprised. Again, Elias moved not with raw power, but with intelligence and timing. Lyra's pride burned. She had trained for years to perfect her techniques, and here was a human, someone she had mocked, using completely different methods to succeed. When her turn arrived for the duel, she faced him directly. The audience hushed. Lyra spun her spear with lightning speed. Elias adjusted his stance, watching her closely. Lyra attacked aggressively, striking from every angle. Elias moved fluidly, deflecting her blows and retreating when necessary. Each strike she made, he responded with calm precision. He was slower, but she could not land a decisive hit. "Humans really are unpredictable," Lyra whispered to herself, frustration edging her voice. The duel continued, and Lyra found herself tiring. Her muscles ached from the speed and strength she had poured into every move. Elias remained calm, his breathing steady, his mind focused. He anticipated her next moves and countered with surprising effectiveness. In a sudden moment, Lyra made a misstep, a small mistake. Elias saw it instantly and tapped her spear aside, stopping her advance. The crowd gasped. Lyra's face flushed with embarrassment. She had been outmaneuvered by a human. She stepped back, breathing heavily, and for the first time she felt a twinge of doubt. Elias gave her a respectful nod, acknowledging her skill without arrogance. After the duel, the announcer declared Elias the winner by a narrow margin. The crowd cheered, though some students were confused and unsettled. Lyra's mind raced. How could a human, so small, so underestimated, defeat her? During a break, Lyra sat on the edge of a platform, gripping her spear. Jalen came to her side. "I told you he's different. Look at how calm he is, how smart. You can't just rely on strength against him." Lyra shook her head, still trying to understand. I don't know. He's clever, yes. But he's still human. He can't match a true Zetherian warrior." Yet, deep down, a part of her mind whispered otherwise. She had underestimated him, and she knew it. The next challenge was a test of agility and strategy. Trainees had to navigate a complex obstacle course filled with traps, moving platforms, and holographic enemies. Many Zetherians relied on speed, rushing through and relying on reflexes. But Elias approached the course differently. He studied it first, noting patterns and planning his moves carefully. Lyra shot forward with confidence, leaping over barriers and dodging traps. Her speed was unmatched, and she cleared the course faster than anyone expected. But Elias, moving with calculated steps and clever timing, finished almost simultaneously. The crowd began to notice something remarkable. Elias's performance was not based on raw strength or speed, but on observation, strategy, and determination. He adapted quickly, learning from every obstacle and finding solutions that others would never consider. Lyra's frustration grew. She had mocked humans, thinking them weak and fragile. But this human had not only survived her attacks, but had also matched her in skill and intelligence. Finally, the last round approached, a test of courage and adaptability. Trainees were sent into a simulation of a dangerous battlefield. Holographic enemies and traps would change unpredictably, testing reflexes, intelligence, and leadership. Lyra entered the simulation, spear ready. She moved with confidence, striking enemies and avoiding hazards with skill. But she noticed Elias navigating the battlefield differently. While she attacked directly, he found ways to protect others in the simulation, leading holographic allies to safety and using the environment cleverly. Lyra's eyes widened. He was not just strong. He was wise, brave, and capable of thinking beyond himself. The realization hit her. She had never met a warrior like this before. A human, she had thought, could never be her equal. Yet here he was, matching and sometimes surpassing her abilities. As the simulation ended, Lyra stepped back, breathing heavily. Elias had completed it flawlessly. The audience erupted in cheers, praising the human warrior. Lyra stood silently, her pride shaken, but her respect beginning to grow. Later, in a quiet corner of the academy, Lyra's mother found her. "You fought well today," she said softly. "But did you see what I told you? Humans are often underestimated. Strength is not only in muscles or speed. Wisdom, courage, and determination are just as important." Lyra looked at her mother, still struggling with her pride. I never thought a human could be so capable," she admitted quietly. Her mother smiled. "You are learning an important lesson. True strength comes in many forms. Watch him closely. Learn from him. Perhaps he will teach you something no Zetherian ever could." That night, as the two suns set and the academy glowed under the soft light of the city, Lyra lay awake. She replayed every moment of the tournament in her mind, every move, every strategy, every decision. She had expected to triumph, to humiliate the human warrior, yet she had been humbled. For the first time, she felt a mix of curiosity, admiration, and something she did not fully understand. Elias was different. Not just a human, not just a warrior, but someone who could challenge everything she believed about strength and skill. And deep inside, Lyra realized that tomorrow she would face him again. And this time she would not just fight to win. She would fight to understand. The morning sun rose over Zytheria, casting golden light across the silver towers. Lyra walked through the Academy's training grounds, her thoughts heavy. The grand tournament had tested her pride, her skill, and her confidence. Yet it had also left her with something she could not easily name, a sense of curiosity and respect for Captain Elias, the human warrior who had challenged her assumptions. She had practiced for hours, swinging her spear, jumping, and running through the obstacle courses, but her mind kept drifting to Elias. She remembered the way he had moved, calm, precise, intelligent. Unlike anyone she had ever faced, human or Zytherian, he seemed to think 3 steps ahead, anticipating every possibility. Lyra shook her head, frustrated with herself. "I cannot allow a human to make me feel unsure," she muttered under her breath. Pride burned in her chest, but a tiny seed of doubt had been planted. Her mother, Counselor Serena, had asked to speak with her. Lyra knew her mother always had wisdom to share, and despite her stubbornness, she decided to go. The counselor's chamber overlooked the city, a space filled with holographic projections of distant planets and star systems. "Lyra," her mother said, her voice calm but serious. "Sit with me. There is something you need to know." Lyra hesitated. Her curiosity piqued. She sat across from her mother, gripping her spear lightly. "What is it?" "Mother." Serena's eyes softened. "It is about the human warrior, Elias." Lyra's brow furrowed. "What about him? He is strong, clever, yes, but he is still human. Why would you tell me something important about him?" Her mother took a deep breath. "Before you were born, the Council of Elders made a decision. There is a prophecy, Lyra. It says that you are destined to unite with a warrior from another world. That warrior is Elias." Lyra's eyes widened. "What? That is impossible. He is a human. I have only just met him. How could he be my destined mate?" Serena reached across the table, placing a gentle hand on Lyra's. "I understand that this is difficult to accept, but the prophecy is clear. It was written before either of you were born. You and he are meant to face challenges together, to protect not only Zytheria, but perhaps the galaxy itself." Lyra shook her head, her mind racing. "This is unbelievable. How can a human, someone I mocked and underestimated, be chosen to be with me?" Her mother smiled faintly. "Sometimes those we underestimate are the ones we need the most. Elias is not just a human. He possesses courage, wisdom, and determination, qualities that even the strongest Zytherians must respect." Lyra stood abruptly, pacing the room. "But I cannot think of him that way. I am a warrior. I have trained all my life. How can a human who is different from us be my equal?" Serena's voice was gentle but firm. "Equality is not measured by strength alone. Elias has proven himself in ways that are unexpected. You must open your mind to this truth. The prophecy does not say he will dominate you. It says you will stand together." Lyra's chest heaved as she struggled with the revelation. Pride warred with curiosity. Skepticism battled with respect. For the first time in her life, she felt truly challenged, not by combat, but by destiny itself. Days passed, and the Academy continued its rigorous training. Lyra kept her distance from Elias, yet she could not ignore him. He moved through the halls and training fields with calm focus, helping other trainees, observing every situation with sharp attention. His presence was quiet but commanding, and Lyra found herself watching him, analyzing his movements, and even learning from them. One afternoon, the training grounds were interrupted by a sudden alarm. A hostile alien fleet had been detected near Zetherian trade routes. Reports indicated that the enemy was fast, ruthless, and intent on capturing resources and territory. The Academy shifted into emergency mode. Lyra and Elias were summoned to the command center, along with other elite trainees and officers. Holographic maps displayed the positions of the enemy ships, their numbers, and possible strategies for defense. "Captain Elias, you will assist in coordinating the defense," a senior officer ordered. "Lyra, you will lead a squad in the outer perimeter to protect the trade routes." Lyra's mind raced. She had trained for combat, for tournaments, for skill, but now she faced a real threat, and beside her, this human, someone she had once mocked, was about to lead them. As the battle began, Lyra watched Elias. He was calm, issuing commands, coordinating squads, and making quick decisions. His intelligence and composure were remarkable. He anticipated enemy movements, repositioned forces strategically, and inspired confidence in the Zetherian troops. Lyra's squad faced their first wave of enemy drones. She led her team with precision, striking and defending with skill. Yet, whenever she faced a difficult situation, Elias's guidance over the comms helped her make better decisions. She realized that his strategies were not only effective, they were brilliant. During a critical moment, an enemy cruiser broke through the perimeter and threatened civilian ships. Lyra acted instinctively, charging forward with her spear, but she quickly realized she was outnumbered. Elias appeared on the holographic screen, directing reinforcements and suggesting a maneuver she had not considered. Trusting him, Lyra adjusted her tactics, moving with precision alongside her squad. The enemy cruiser was trapped and disabled without casualties. For the first time, Lyra felt a deep respect for Elias. He was not just clever or brave, he was selfless, strategic, and capable of thinking in ways she could not. Pride and skepticism melted into admiration. After the battle, the Academy and the city celebrated their successful defense. Trainees and officers praised Elias, calling him a hero. Lyra remained silent, reflecting on everything she had witnessed. She remembered her mother's words, "Equality is not measured by strength alone." That evening, she returned to the council chamber to speak with her mother. "Mother," she said softly, I see now. Elias is not just strong. He is wise, brave, and capable in ways I could not imagine. I misjudged him." Serena's eyes twinkled. "It is not a weakness to admit when you have been wrong. True strength lies in recognizing greatness, wherever it comes from." Lyra nodded, feeling a weight lift from her shoulders. Yet she also felt a new sense of responsibility. If the prophecy was true and Elias was meant to stand beside her, she needed to prepare, not just for combat, but for partnership. The next days were filled with training, both in the academy and in real missions to protect the planet. Lyra and Elias began to interact more, not as rival and mocker, but as allies. Lyra observed his techniques, learning how humans adapted to challenges, how they combined courage with intelligence. She began to see that his apparent weaknesses, size, strength, speed, were actually part of a greater strategy. One evening, as they sat atop a high tower overlooking the city, Lyra finally spoke to him directly. "Captain Elias," she said, her voice quiet but steady, I misjudged you. I see now that you are a remarkable warrior, not just because of your skill, but because of your mind, your courage, and your heart." Elias smiled faintly. "Thank you, Lyra. I respect your strength and determination as well. I have never met a warrior like you either." For the first time, Lyra felt a sense of connection, not only to him as a fellow warrior, but as someone she might trust completely. A new feeling stirred within her, one that she could not name, yet it felt important, powerful, and real. That night, Lyra lay awake, thinking of the prophecy, the battles, and Elias. She realized that life had changed forever. The human she had mocked was not just a warrior, he was her equal, her partner, and perhaps something more. And in the quiet of the academy, under the twin suns of Zytheria, Lyra understood that she had begun a journey far greater than training or tournaments. She had begun a journey of respect, understanding, and destiny. A journey that would challenge her pride, her courage, and her heart. The galaxy was vast, and threats were many, but Lyra no longer faced them alone. By her side stood Elias, a human warrior unlike any she had known, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. Together, they would learn, grow, and discover that strength came in many forms, and that sometimes the most unlikely warrior could change everything. The distant stars twinkled in the night sky above Zytheria as Lyra stood on the edge of the city's highest tower. Her copper hair blew in the cool wind, and her amber eyes scanned the horizon. The recent attacks on trade routes had been only a warning. Now, intelligence reports warned of a full-scale invasion. A hostile alien fleet, larger and more aggressive than anything Zytheria had faced before, was approaching. Lyra's heart pounded with a mix of fear and determination. She had trained all her life for battles like this, but something felt different this time. The human warrior, Captain Elias, would be by her side. She had come to respect him, but the thought of facing such a threat together made her realize how much she still didn't know about him, or about herself. The city's alarms blared, echoing through the streets. Citizens hurried to shelters, while the academy mobilized its elite trainees. Lyra met Elias at the command center, a massive room filled with holographic displays, maps of incoming fleets, and the hum of strategists coordinating defenses. "Lyra," Elias said calmly, his blue eyes steady. "We need to organize the perimeter and protect the civilians. Are your teams ready?" Lyra nodded, gripping her glowing spear tightly. "They are, but we'll need to move quickly. This fleet is faster than anything we've trained for." Elias studied the maps, pointing to weak points in the city's defenses. "I suggest we split our forces. You take the outer perimeter with your squad. I will lead a strike team to intercept the main fleet and buy time." Lyra hesitated for only a moment. "Agreed. Let's do it." As the fleets drew closer, Lyra led her squad to the outer perimeter, a stretch of the city's orbital shields and landing pads. Enemy ships began to appear in the sky, sleek and menacing. They moved with coordinated precision, firing energy blasts at the city's defenses. Lyra's squad took positions ready to intercept them. She moved with practiced skill, striking down enemy drones and directing her team to block the larger ships. The battle was chaotic, but Lyra noticed something remarkable. Elias's voice over the comms was calm, precise, and confident. He guided reinforcements, called out enemy weak points, and even suggested unconventional maneuvers to protect the city. Lyra found herself following his instructions, though her pride bristled at needing help. But she could not deny the truth. His strategies worked. They saved countless lives and slowed the enemy advance. During a sudden attack, a group of fast enemy fighters broke through the perimeter, heading straight for a civilian transport. Lyra's squad moved to intercept, but they were outnumbered. She lunged forward, her spear glowing as she struck the lead ship's energy shield. Sparks flew, and the ship staggered, but the others pressed on. "Lyra, use the gravity field to funnel them!" Elias's voice came through the comm. She hesitated, then followed his suggestion. Redirecting the ships using the city's gravity manipulators, she created a narrow path, forcing the enemy into a trap. Her squad launched a synchronized attack, and the enemy fighters were neutralized. Lyra's breath came in short bursts. She looked up at the sky, her amber eyes meeting Elias's across the comms. For the first time, she saw him not as a human, but as a partner, a warrior she could rely on. Meanwhile, Elias led his strike team against the main fleet. His movements were precise. Every action calculated. He dodged enemy fire, redirected his team, and attacked the fleet's weak points with efficiency. Lyra watched as he coordinated maneuvers that no Zitherian strategy manual had taught her. He adapted to the situation in ways that were brilliant and unexpected. During a critical moment, a massive enemy cruiser targeted Elias directly. Lyra's squad, seeing the danger, raced to intercept. Together, they formed a defensive formation. Lyra's spear clashed with the cruiser's energy shield, creating a blinding burst of light. Elias used the distraction to strike a key control panel, causing the cruiser to lose power and drift away. After the battle, the city was safe, but the cost had been high. Some defense turrets were damaged and several trainees had minor injuries. Lyra and Elias stood on the city wall, overlooking the aftermath. "You saved a lot of lives today," Lyra said, her voice steady but filled with admiration. Elias shrugged lightly. "We saved them together. Your leadership was crucial as well." Lyra felt a warmth in her chest. She had always believed that strength alone defined a warrior, but she realized now that courage, intelligence, and the ability to work together were just as important. And in that moment, she respected Elias in a way she had never respected anyone before. Over the next few days, Lyra and Elias trained together, learning each other's techniques. Lyra taught him Zitherian spear skills, while he shared human tactics of adaptability and strategy. They sparred, planned, and fought side by side, growing stronger as a team. During one training session, Lyra asked, "Captain Elias, how do you stay so calm in battle? Most warriors would panic under this pressure." Elias smiled faintly. "I focus on what I can control and I trust my instincts. Panic doesn't help anyone. Preparation and courage do." Lyra nodded slowly, absorbing his words. She realized that courage was not the absence of fear, but the ability to act despite it. Elias had shown her that, and she admired him for it. The next challenge came when the enemy returned. More determined than before, they attacked Zitheria's trade fleet directly, aiming to cripple the planet's resources. Lyra and Elias led combined forces of Zitherian and human warriors to intercept them. The battle was intense. Enemy ships swarmed from all directions, energy beams flashed across the sky, and explosions lit the horizon. Lyra moved with incredible speed, striking down enemies and directing her team. Elias moved with calm precision, guiding the larger strategy and anticipating enemy maneuvers. At one point, a powerful enemy warship fired a massive energy beam at the city. Lyra realized the only way to stop it was to overload the ship's shields, but it required someone to get dangerously close. Without hesitation, Elias charged forward, weaving through enemy fire. Lyra followed him, realizing that he would not act recklessly. He was brave, yes, but also careful and smart. Together, they struck the ship's weak points, disabling its weapons and causing it to retreat. The city was saved again, and the citizens cheered from their shelters. After the battle, Lyra and Elias stood on the highest tower, looking at the sky filled with stars. Lyra felt a new understanding growing within her. Elias was not just a capable warrior, he was her equal in courage, intelligence, and honor. "I misjudged you at first," Lyra admitted quietly. "I thought humans were weak, but you've proven me wrong." Elias turned to her, his eyes calm and kind. "And I respect you, Lyra. You are strong, skilled, and brave. We make a good team." Lyra smiled, feeling a sense of connection she had never experienced before. Side by side, they had faced danger, protected lives, and learned to trust each other completely. She realized that strength was not measured alone by muscle or skill, but by courage, intelligence, and the willingness to protect others. That night, as the city lights shimmered across Zitheria, Lyra reflected on everything that had happened. She had begun the journey of learning, understanding, and respect. She had discovered that humans, though often underestimated, possessed qualities that could rival even the greatest Zetherian warriors. And as she looked at Elias, standing quietly beside her, she felt something new, a sense of partnership, a recognition that together they could face any challenge. For the first time, Lyra understood the true meaning of strength. It was not in victory alone or in the speed of a strike. It was in courage, wisdom, teamwork, and trust. And in that understanding, she saw the path forward, not just as a warrior, but as someone who would stand alongside a human warrior destined to change everything. The stars above Zetheria sparkled brightly, and Lyra felt a quiet excitement for the future. She knew that the battles ahead would be even greater, the challenges even more dangerous. But now, she would not face them alone. Captain Elias was beside her, a human warrior unlike any she had ever known, and together they would prove that courage, intelligence, and determination, no matter where they came from, could protect worlds and shape destinies. The city of Zetheria was quiet for the first time in days, the twin suns casting soft golden light across the towers. But the calm was deceptive. Scouts had reported that the enemy fleet had regrouped. This time, their numbers were larger, their tactics more dangerous, and their intentions clear. Total conquest. Lyra stood at the edge of the academy's rooftop, her spear glowing faintly in her hands. She had trained relentlessly over the past weeks, learned from every encounter, and grown as a warrior. But this was different. This was not a training exercise or a tournament. It was real, and the lives of thousands depended on her. Beside her, Captain Elias adjusted his uniform, his calm blue eyes scanning the horizon. He carried no visible weapons but radiated a quiet confidence that made Lyra feel both reassured and challenged. She had come to respect him deeply, but now, standing side by side, she felt something more, an unspoken connection that made her pulse quicken. "The fleet is approaching faster than expected," Elias said softly. "We need to coordinate carefully. Every decision counts." Lyra nodded, her mind sharp and focused. "We will split our forces. You take the strike team to intercept the largest ships. I will lead the defense of the city and civilians." Elias shook his head gently. "No, this time, we fight together. Dividing our forces could be risky. If we work as one, we can respond faster and protect more people." Lyra hesitated. Her pride wanted to lead alone, to prove herself. But she looked into Elias's eyes and saw the wisdom there. He was right. She trusted him. "Together, then," she said, gripping her spear firmly. The enemy fleet appeared on the horizon like a dark storm. Ships of strange, angular design moved in perfect coordination, energy beams flashing as they advanced. Civilians in orbital transports hurried toward safety, and Zetherian defenders readied their weapons. Lyra and Elias led the charge. The sky erupted in flashes of light as energy blasts and shields clashed. Lyra's speed and skill were unmatched. She darted through enemy lines, striking drones and smaller ships with precision, her spear glowing as it deflected energy blasts. Elias moved beside her with uncanny coordination. While Lyra attacked directly, Elias calculated angles, anticipated enemy reactions, and redirected ships and defenses strategically. He saved lives with quick thinking, pulling transports out of harm's way and guiding squads with perfect timing. At one point, a massive enemy warship broke through the city's perimeter, firing a beam that could destroy entire blocks. Lyra lunged to intercept, but she realized her attack alone would not be enough. "Lyra! Use the energy conduit to overload its shields!" Elias shouted, pointing to a nearby reactor node. Lyra's eyes widened. She had never considered such a tactic. Without hesitation, she redirected her attack, striking the conduit and causing a surge that destabilized the warship's shields. Sparks and explosions lit the sky as the enemy ship faltered. Elias seized the moment. Using his knowledge of the enemy's design, he guided a group of Zitherian ships to strike the exposed points. The warship's engines failed, and it drifted helplessly before being captured. Lyra watched him, awe filling her chest. He was not only brave but brilliant. She realized fully that human ingenuity, courage, and quick thinking could rival even the most advanced Zitherian tactics. The battle continued, and together Lyra and Elias became an unstoppable force. They moved in perfect coordination, anticipating each other's actions, protecting civilians, and defeating enemy forces. Their teamwork inspired other warriors. Zitherians and humans alike began to follow their example, combining strategy, strength, and courage. Hours passed, but eventually the enemy fleet was forced to retreat. Their losses were great, and the city of Zithria stood victorious. Citizens cheered from the streets and rooftops. Fireworks and energy flares lit the sky, celebrating the bravery of those who had defended their home. Lyra and Elias stood side by side on the tallest tower, looking at the stars above. Their breathing was heavy, but their hearts were light. "You were incredible," Lyra said softly. I cannot believe how calm and smart you were in the battle. I misjudged you at first. I see that now." Elias smiled faintly. "And you were amazing, Lyra. Your skill, speed, and courage are unmatched. We make a strong team." Lyra felt warmth rise in her chest. Not just respect, but something deeper. Something that had been growing since she first realized he was more than a human warrior. She remembered her mother's words about the prophecy. She had doubted them before, but now she could feel their truth. Her mother, Counselor Serena, approached quietly, her eyes filled with pride. "Lyra," she said, "you fought with bravery and wisdom, and you have learned something important about humans, about partnership, and about trust. Elias is your partner not by chance, but by destiny." Lyra nodded, her eyes turning to Elias. "I understand now, Mother. I accept him, not just as my partner in battle, but as my equal in every way." Elias looked at her, surprise and quiet joy in his eyes. "Lyra, she smiled, interrupting him softly. "No words are needed. We understand each other." The counselor stepped back, smiling. "Then it is time for the final step." The prophecy was never just about battles. It was about unity, trust, and balance. Together you will face challenges that no warrior can face alone, and together you will protect this world, and perhaps others. Lyra felt a sense of purpose, stronger than anything she had ever known. She gripped her spear and glanced at Elias. "We are ready," she said. Elias nodded. Together. Over the following weeks, Zithria rebuilt and strengthened its defenses, but Lyra and Elias remained at the forefront. They trained new warriors, shared their knowledge, and prepared for the possibility that the enemy might return. Lyra taught humans and Zitherians alike to combine strength and strategy, while Elias taught patience, adaptability, and the courage to face challenges creatively. Through it all, Lyra's admiration and trust in Elias grew. She had once mocked him, believing humans weak and fragile. Now she knew that human courage, intelligence, and determination could match, sometimes even surpass, the greatest Zitherian abilities. One evening, as they walked through the academy gardens, Lyra finally spoke openly. "Captain Elias, I want you to know that I no longer see you as just a warrior from another world. You are my partner, my equal, and more than that." Elias looked at her, his expression gentle. "Lyra, I feel the same. From the moment we began working together, I knew you were unlike anyone I had ever met. Your skill, your courage, and your heart. We are stronger together." Lyra smiled, feeling a sense of peace and fulfillment she had never known. She understood now that the prophecy had not been about dominance, but about partnership. Two warriors from different worlds, united by courage, trust, and destiny. The citizens of Scytheria celebrated their heroes. Stories of the human warrior who had saved the city, side by side with the proud Scytherian warrior, spread throughout the galaxy. Lyra found herself respected not only for her skill, but for her openness, courage, and willingness to see the truth in others. As she stood atop the city's towers with Elias by her side, she realized something extraordinary. Humans, often underestimated and dismissed, possessed ingenuity, resilience, and heart that could change worlds. And now, she had witnessed it firsthand. Elias placed a hand lightly on her shoulder. "Lyra, the galaxy is vast, and dangers will always come, but I know that together we can face anything." Lyra looked at him, determination shining in her amber eyes. "Yes, together we are unstoppable." The twin suns set, casting a warm glow over the city. Stars sparkled above, and for the first time, Lyra felt completely at peace. She had learned that strength was not just in muscle or speed, but in courage, intelligence, and unity. And as she stood with Elias, human warrior, partner, and equal, she knew that whatever the future held, they would face it together, side by side, united, stronger than any one of them alone. In that moment, the prophecy was no longer just words. It was a living truth. And the galaxy had witnessed the rise of a new force, a human and a Scytherian, united, brave, and unstoppable.